Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming out tonight. So we want to start off the presentation with your mayor, David Chest.
Thank you, Jim. Hello, Stratford. In all of our lives, there are moments, there are pivotal points, incidents, events, people, graduations that mark turning points that define who we are, who we become, our futures. I believe that today is that moment for Stratford. I believe that this is a pivotal event that will define and vitalize Stratford for generations to come. It is a turning point. Rebirth of 77 acres of waterfront property that has been unavailable to us for over 30 years, longer than that actually, that has been lying fallow, has been brownfield for over 30 years. So this is a big deal. This is a major effort and a major transformation. And as I told Stratford Renewal, Jim and Peter and Ted, that this is not just another project. This isn't just another arbitrage. This is a big deal. This is not another project. So with having said this and reflecting on this evening, I asked myself, so who is Stratford, right? Who are we? Well, we are a lot of things. We are complex. We're not one thing. We've had an incredible history. We're one of the oldest towns in Connecticut. I think we're the 6th incorporated town in Connecticut. We're a town that's been marked with real leadership and innovation. We were home to over 60 suffragettes back in the time. That's incredible. We're home to early flight and the helicopter. We were a cultural center, home to the American Shakespeare Theater. And we're a town of contrasts. We have 18 miles of incredible coastline. We have Roosevelt Forest, which is a gem. We have world-class manufacturing and innovation in this town. And at the same time, we have severe industrial contamination, world-class contamination. We're one of the largest Superfund sites in the country. So we are a town of contrasts. So what I would say, though, is that now is our time for transformation. Point Stratford, a new Connecticut landmark. Our vision, and today really is a lot about getting your feedback, and we've had the survey that's been out there that we've had well over 500 respondents. We've gotten a lot of feedback. So this isn't a one-way conversation, but I do want to share with you my vision for who we can be there, what this landmark can be. We need to make the coast available and accessible. And my dreams include a riverside park, open spaces and recreation, greenway expansion from Birdseye to Short Beach. Could you imagine that? Being able to take your bike the entire way, walk our dogs. It's an incredible space. Waterfront activation with retail, hotels, restaurants, conference center. Making Stratford a destination, a place where people want to come and walk along the water, go to a restaurant, and have their conference. We'd love to engage the arts, culture, theater. We'll want to integrate our history into the site. And we need to create housing opportunities, create retail and commercial space, highlight our economic development and employment opportunities. So Stratford, we are on the precipice of a new beginning, a new chapter in our history. And I am so happy to be taking this journey with you. I thank you for coming out this evening to learn more, and I ask you to stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Chess. I think you definitely put out your vision, which I think is awesome. The last time we did this was we actually, oh boy. I love it. You did it. So we're done. I'm going to call my wife and tell her we're done. So, great. Okay, so, but the last time we did this was in Stamford, Connecticut, and we had a very large project that was transformative for the town of Stamford. And I went to a very large meeting, and someone who introduced me said, "There's a dreamer out there that thinks he can redevelop the south end of Stamford. Where's the dreamer?" And I was just about to run out the door because I didn't really feel like that was the appropriate way to describe myself. But anyway, it takes a dream, and we had a mayor with very good vision there. You guys might have heard of him, Dan Malloy. He ended up being governor, and I think it starts with a vision. So with the vision, you need a great team to pull it off. So I just want to introduce my partners. So Ted Lane. Ted has had this project under contract for a long time, since 2012. And then we closed on the property in April of 24. So Ted definitely gets the longest participant on Point Stratford renewal. I have my son, Peter Cabrera, there. and Peter is basically does everything at the property for Ted, Dev, and I, and it's great to have him with us as well. And then our newest entrant is a fellow by the name of Dev Hawley, and Dev has the vision that we need to put a team together to execute something like this. Dev has only worked for 3 other companies. You might have heard of them. Walt Disney, where he envisioned Disney Hong Kong. He worked for Goldman Sachs, where he created the New York City headquarters. And then most recently at Yale, where he was in charge of redeveloping or redesigning the vision for Yale. So we're so lucky to have Dev on our team, and he adds a dimension that we definitely need. So we also have with us our favorite PR firm, Sullivan & Lashane. Brian Flaherty here, and Pat Sullivan is in the audience somewhere. They worked on our project in Stamford, and they were terrific, and so we've decided to get the team back together. So let me see where to go from here. So once we bought the property in April of '24, the mayor called and said, "Can you please have an open house?" And I said, "Mayor, I don't know what we're going to build. I don't know what we're going to do." She said, "Well, you have to know something. Everyone's calling me. There should be about 10 to 15 people there. It's not going to be a big issue." So we had that first meeting. Of course, 200 people showed up. And of course, they all wanted to ask the same question of me: "What are you going to build?" And I said to them, "I don't know. But we do have a project that we're working on, which is we need to abate, remediate, demolish, and add coastal resiliency to the site." And so that was the first project that we worked on, and we're happy to report we're about 55% done with the demo, remediation, and abatement, and about 50% done on the bringing up the property for coastal resilience. So that's the update on that. Then the mayor called and said, "Hey, do you mind having another one of these? I know you're going to be doing something in the tidal flats, so with a lot of people looking at the water, you really have to come and tell everybody what you're doing." So great news. We were able to get the tidal flat remediation project started. That's a project that's funded 100% by the federal government. And we were lucky enough to be awarded the contract, and we brought in a company called NTEC to execute that. And, I'd like to report we're 99% done. I saw a boat on the water today, but we're starting our demo process, so we're finished with that project, which we did on time and under budget. So we're very happy about that, and we have a nice, clean tidal flat, which is the third slide there. So, and as I said, the building demolition is ongoing. So, so that's kind of I'm not going to say the boring stuff because it's hard for Ted and I to do all these things, but that's not as exciting. At that same meeting with NTEC, everyone asked me questions at the end. "Hey, so what are you building?" And the answer was, "I don't know. We're still working on it. We're still trying to figure that all out." And so what I'll tell you tonight is we actually don't know yet what we're building, but we do have a vision, and we have a team to execute that vision. So with that, I'd like to introduce Dev Hawley and Peter Cabrera to give you guys introduction to our planning process.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Peter Cabrera with Point Stratford Renewal, and it was about the summer of 2025. I got a call from the security guard at the gate saying, "There's a guy here saying he's going to be the next mayor of Stratford, and he wants to talk to you about the project." That turned out to be Mayor Chess, and quickly after the election in November, we mobilized to assemble a world-class team to be able to execute this vision. And the first move we made, as my dad mentioned, was to bring on Dev Hawley. So Dev's trained architect with executive level development expertise, navigating very complex development projects. So this is not a simple development, and bringing him on was a critical first move for us. We then went out and developed an RFP marketing the site to planning firms as a true blank canvas opportunity. So we wanted the planning community to really look at this as a blank canvas. And we went into New York City and interviewed 5 of the leading master planning firms in the world. And lucky enough to be very close to New York City, where there's a ton of talent. And we involved the town in the process as well throughout the entire interview process. And ultimately in March, we made our selection, and I'll turn it over to Dev to introduce the master planning team that we selected.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Ted. We, as Peter said, really sort of decided that we were going to go after really an ideal consultant master planning team. And we ended up interviewing, fortunately we sort of live close to New York City, Boston, Philadelphia. I mean, there's some fantastic talents in our larger region. We looked at all of those markets. Unfortunately, New York City happens to have so much fantastic talent, particularly in the world of planning, master planning, that we were able to consolidate all of our efforts to New York. We had several exceptional candidates in the process. I think one of the criteria that we set early in the process was that we thought it was really important to not only find a very capable architecture master planning firm to be part of our leadership, but we felt that we should have equal role in sort of co-design, if you will, from an open space landscape architect master planner. And so we were really looking from the beginning to find kind of a co-design team for this project, because the design of the buildings and the layout of the buildings is as important as the open space, the landscape, and all of its priorities in the planning process. We went through the whole process of interviewing all of the different candidates, again, exceptional teams, and the team that really prevailed not only presented itself as this co-design team of architecture and landscape architecture, but they also expressed what I thought, and Peter and Jim and Ted thought was so important, was an understanding not so much of urban planning, but of town planning. They demonstrated a competency through the projects that they had done of understanding the scale of Stratford, the scale of our site, and the scale of the community, and really, I think, presented a convincing case of understanding the intimacy that I think goes into developing a master plan for all of us here in Stratford. I will go into a little bit more of Cooper Robertson, Corrigan, and field operations and some of their work. But as part of that team, we also engaged Langen as our civil engineer. They're all over the country, but their major base up in New Haven has a huge portfolio of Connecticut work. Tim Underko and the Langen team know Connecticut exceptionally well. We certainly use them a lot up at Yale. Moffett and Nickel, 80 years in the world of coastal and resilience engineering. And Santiago is here this evening. You'll be able to meet him a little bit later. Significant work in Connecticut as well, particularly also working on resilient Bridgeport. Bridgeport. So very active currently, sort of in the neighborhood, if you will. And then HR&A, economic advisors, real estate, and public policy consultants are really the gold standard in, based in New York City understanding the tri-state area, but particularly understanding Connecticut and its market, not only working with the Connecticut DOT, but also working on many mixed-use projects in Norwalk and in Stamford. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you, Brian. So this is just a quick introduction to Cooper Robertson and Corrigan. Again, a good demonstration of the of town planning, waterfront community design. In the upper left is a project that they're working on currently up in Middletown, Connecticut. It's about 260 acres along the Connecticut River. It's mixed use. But their history and their legacy goes as far back as probably 40 years ago to Celebration in Florida. Some of you may know the Celebration project. Again, a mixed use, very sophisticated, with roots in town planning. Let's go to the next slide. This is just a few images from field operations. Again, another exceptional firm. They do a lot of landscape and waterscape environments, like Freshkills Park in Staten Island. It's just a mere 2,200 acres of landscape. Shelby Farms is 4,500 acres of landscape work. But they also bring it down to smaller urban or town parks like the Presidio, which is 15 acres. And then a project you may know if you've been around New York on the west side, the High Line in New York is a field operations project. Next slide, we'll do. I'm gonna turn this over to our lead at Cooper Robertson Corrigan, Mike Aziz, but I will share this principal project objective, and I'm happy to call it a draft because again, we are here today to hear from you. So you tell us what you think the principal project objective should be. But what we have what we're presenting today is transform this significant waterfront brownfield site into a vibrant, resilient, and economically sustainable development that honors its natural context, historical legacy, and integrates seamlessly with the surrounding existing community by creating a mixed-use destination development. So I leave that with you. I will turn it over to Mike Aziz from, again, Cooper Robertson Corrigan, but look forward to your feedback this evening, and thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Dev. Good evening, everyone. It's really wonderful to be here. Our team has been looking forward to this evening for some time now. As Deb said, we're in the business of community design, and that begins precisely in rooms like this. We're designing with communities, not just for them. So it means a lot to our team that you all took time out of your evenings at the beginning of summer to spend it with us. So this evening is, and then later on, we'll be sharing out some things that we've learned in the few months that we've been working on the project, and gathering input and ideas from you all. And my sense is that there's a lot to learn from everyone in this room. So I wanted to start with maybe just a quick poll by show of hands. How long folks have been part of the Stratford community? Raise your hand if you've been part of the community for 5 years. 10. 20. See some in the back here. 30. 40. 50. Still going up. 60. All right. Well, there's door prizes when you leave. Well, thank you. We can't wait to meet you when we go into the breakouts out there. So, as Deb said, this is the vision that we're starting with. This is where we're beginning. It's a vision that complements what you all came together and put together with the waterfront rezoning, which we'll talk about in a little bit for the overlay here. It's what you reinforced in your plan of conservation and development just a couple of years ago. And it's just where these folks want to start and what we're prepared to deliver on for you. We want to give you a plan that complements the identity and character of what you have here in Stratford today, really delivered on that forest to shore vision of your community. Here is that planning framework that we will be responsive to. The plan of conservation and development graphic here is pictured on the right. It envisions this site as a waterfront destination, multi-use, in a regional economic centerpiece. And you could see in the text there how that was reinforced in what your governing regulations have set out as well. That vision is going to be rooted in the history of this community. We know of the rich history, of course, of aviation and innovation, as Mayor Chess spoke to. But we have a lot to learn on what the traditions of the community are today. And how this new place could perhaps be the location of some of the next great traditions in your community as it becomes accessible and open to you all again. So there's a lot for us to learn here. And in fact, we'll be visiting the Historical Society next week and going back as far in history as we can, even into pre-settlement and including some of those insights. We also know that there's much here in the vision that's going to be about the waterfront itself, activating the water's edge, stitching together the shoreline along the Housatonic, improving access, providing a diversity of different kind of spaces and engaging public spaces is where we're beginning with this. You can think of it in terms of 4 R's. Remediation, which we know is well underway, restoration of ecology, recreation, we're providing opportunities for folks to get out and enjoy the waterfront, and of course resilience, for designing a place for the long term, something that's going to be responsive to future needs. And we know that vision needs to be enabled by a regulatory plan, and we know that's going to be a master plan under your current zoning. So what exactly is a master plan? It's a long-term framework. It's not a final design. Very common for projects of this scale and size. We had the privilege of working with Jim and Ted and their team in Stamford on the long-range plan for that South Stamford renewal. In there and here, it will be a roadmap for making future decisions that will guide very broadly land use, building locations and the scale of those buildings, how one moves throughout the site through circulation paths and streets, the public spaces and parks that are in the community, and the infrastructure systems that underlie them all. Of course, we are required to comply with your local zoning. Your zoning has a special condition called an overlay district that this property has through its entire extent. That's called the Waterfront Redevelopment Overlay. That overlay indicates exactly the type of provisions that are listed here on this next slide. We'll have some boards out in the lobby. We can go into some more details here. But in general, you should know that they're focused on providing quality public access and community integration in what comes next for the plant site. So where we are in the timeline in the process. As I said, we are very early in the process. As it shows on the timeline, in Q1, our master planning team kicked off. Throughout the summer into Q4, we'll be gathering input, doing our scenario testing, drafting a master plan, and then ultimately beginning the entitlements process towards the the end of the year into 2027. And where we go from here, there's a lot more to learn and engagement with the community. And so I'm going to hand it back to Jim to walk us through that. Thank you.
All right. So you got a little taste of what's to come. I will tell you, it's pretty exciting to be able to hire, the best talent in the world. It's way better than being good yourself. So we got a lot of great talent that works with us, and we're really happy about it. But we need your input. So how do you engage all the people that came out? How do you engage in the process? So first of all, obviously, thanks for coming tonight, because that's the first step. Get out of your house, come to this thing, or watch it on TV or one of the reproductions of this. How else can you work on this? Well, that's a QR code on the upper right side. If you want to take a picture of that, that's one way you can get to our website. We also, if you go to www.pointstratford.com, you can get to our website as well. On that, probably the most important thing is a survey. And we've collected, I think I haven't, 630 pieces of information back from you all, which is great. It just helps inform the team on what you guys are looking for, and it just helps the overall process. Like I said before, you can't do something like this just by yourself in a room, and then we'd show up at planning and zoning and there'd be, a murder scene. So we don't want that. We actually want everyone to be involved in the process, because I think that's the most important. We have, in addition to that, we have opportunities for you to come in a smaller group. So the dates are up there now. You don't have to copy them down. You can actually, again, it's on the website. But we decided to divide it into districts. So we put some districts together. So we had to do 4 meetings instead of 10. Hope nobody minds that. But so we have 4 dates set up for that. And then that'll push us into towards the end of the summer, where we'd like to have another meeting like this, where we present the findings and probably have some ideas on what Cooper Robertson and the rest of the team has come up with. So that's kind of our process. Going forward now, which I think is be very interesting to everyone, is an opportunity to actually meet the people that are doing the planning for you guys. So we have set up outside in the lobby different boards. So if you want to go talk to land use and zoning, you can go. Mike will probably be there, and he'll talk to you about land use. If you want to go to the history and culture, the community, I think that's where Pete is going to be. The waterfront and open space is a combination of field operations. We have Langen as well, and a bunch of the other firms. Economic and opportunity is HR&A. And Ted and I will be up here if anyone wants to talk about the exciting remediation and demolition, and that's not really the most fun to talk about, but we'll be sitting up here in case anyone wants to come up and talk to us about what our thoughts are and stuff like this. But again, I just want to thank everybody for coming. This is not an easy thing to do, and I think Dev came up with this great words about what we're trying to do, and this, you see at the end of that, says Point Stratford Renewal, but at the end of this process, we'd love that to say the town of Stratford. So that's really what we want to do. Ted and I were walking around, and we picked up a brick that was came up in one of the buildings, and it said 1929, and it really hit us like, wow, that's almost 100 years ago that people started developing this property. And so what we want to do is we want to create something for the next 100 years. So with that, I'd like to thank you all again for coming. Again, everyone will be outside, and you can, go to whichever station you want, take as much time, ask as many questions as you want. There's some interactive stuff where you can make some notes and put it on the boards. And again, we're always around and open for any questions. But I'd like to thank everybody for coming. David Chess, thank you very much, Mayor, for having this, and thanks again.
Yes.